Hello there guys, welcome to another my live video. So this is your Manchester United versus Tottenham Hotspur preview at Old Trafford, 7:30 kickoff on Wednesday evening. And I think Mourinho is going to get Ole Gunnar Solskjaer the sack, if I'm going to be quite honest with you. It is assured, I think, if we do fail to win the next two games, that Man United will end Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's managerial tenure at the football club, because he is under intense pressure, reflecting on our disastrous start to the season. I also do believe that Solskjaer will be doing his press conference tomorrow, so I will give you my reaction, to what he does. Well, some of the things he does say, during his press conference. Yeah, so we know that Tottenham anyway and Man City are going to be two very difficult games. Tottenham especially, is going to be an extremely difficult game. Tottenham, of course, did enjoy a bad start to the season, but, recently they have rejuvenated themselves, since Jose Mourinho, took the mantle on at Tottenham. He's done really, really well, and he's had a fantastic start to his managerial career with Tottenham. Jose Mourinho's won 3 games out of 3. 2 in the league, 1 in the Champions League and that. And I do believe, Mourinho will succeed at Tottenham. Jose Mourinho, of course, has got a contract with Tottenham until the end of the 2022-23 season. And he's on a substantial amount a year. I think he's on around £15 million a year. So that's almost double than what initially, Mauricio Pochettino was on. Tottenham now are sitting 5th in the league. They still obviously, remain 6 points behind top 4. They are, of course, 2 points ahead of us. But, Mourinho, I think, is going to do a really, really good job. But overall, anyway, Jose Mourinho is a very, very good manager. Obviously, so far, he's won 25 major honours during his managerial career. Obviously, he's managed various clubs. And I did give you, the couple of reasons why his, tenure at Manchester United didn't work out. And I think the vast majority of Man United fans now will believe that it could have been a mistake getting rid of Jose Mourinho. Obviously, Jose Mourinho, when he was at Man United, he had a 2.5-year spell at the football club. But obviously, he did have a bad relationship with the top players, especially, Paul Pogba. I don't think Paul Pogba's going to be playing on Wednesday. Maybe he could. Maybe he could get that reunion with Jose Mourinho. But obviously, I think he's still out with injury, Paul Pogba. And he also, reflecting back, the board weren't back in the signings that he wanted to recommend to the football club last summer. But Jose Mourinho, did win the Europa League and League Cup in his first season there with Man United. And he did, spend a substantial amount at the club. He spent, 400 million or just under 400 million pounds on 11 players. Now, taking into account, Solskjaer is inheriting the vast majority of them. So maybe we shouldn't have got rid of Jose Mourinho. And Tottenham, have got, some good players I want to take into account. Obviously, they've got the likes of Harry Kane, they've got the likes of Dele Alli, their 2 main stars. They've got Christian Eriksen, he's been at Tottenham for several years. They've got Song, they've got the likes of Toby Alderweireld, who I think is a good centre-half. They've got the likes of Serge Aurier. Tottenham have got a pretty decent team. And, Tottenham did beat us at Old Trafford last season by 3 goals to 0. That was obviously, when we obviously, had Jose Mourinho. But they comfortably beat us by 3 goals to 0. I think, was it the second game of the season? Was it last season? I think it was the third game of the season, sorry. But we did lose by 3 goals to 0. We did beat them at Wembley last season, 1-0. How we managed to win that game or not, I do not know. That was one of the games, under, in that 3-month period when Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was the interim manager. We got absolutely trounced in the second half, reflect on the amount of chances, that Tottenham had. And you can say that David De Gea had saved us in that particular game. But, overall, we have mainly, got a very, very good record against Tottenham. But I'm very, very sceptical about us, winning this game against Tottenham. And I'm very, very sceptical about us getting that top 4 this season. We're currently 8 points behind top 4. We had our chances, to, make it to 5 points because obviously Chelsea did slip up at West Ham. Man City of course failed to beat Newcastle, so basically our chance was there to close the gap. But like I said, we're 8 points behind top four. We're only 6 points above relegation, so you can quite frankly say we are in a relegation battle. But we have only won 4 games in the league this season. We've drawn 6, and of course we have lost 4. So we've registered 18 points from 14 games in the league so far this season, and we know that's nowhere near good enough to our standards. Obviously, we have, by the way, still got quite a few injuries. Obviously, we know that McTominay's still out. Scott McTominay has missed the last 3 games with injury. Solskjaer did confirm in his press conference prior to the Aston Villa game that McTominay did return home. He did say he was hopeful that he would have been able to play on Sunday, but obviously wasn't fully fit. But I think he actually could play on Wednesday evening. McTominay's been out with an ankle injury. Don't forget he had to withdraw from the Scotland squad during the international break, due to this ongoing, ankle injury. But he had initial scans on his ankle anywhere to find out the extent of the injury. But McTominay has been a big miss, to be quite honest. And recently, Solskjaer's had to, go over midfield with Fred and Pereira. You've got a lot of Man United fans, of course, now, demanding, Pereira out. They don't think he's good enough for the football club. But so I'll be glad when McTominay, does come back, because like I said, he's been a revelation this season for Man United, and I don't know if he's a long-term solution for the club, but he's deserved to keep his place in the team this season, reflecting on his impressive performances. But he should be back for Wednesday evening. But he did say, Solskjaer's given us an update regarding them two anyway, and he did say, at least one, could be back for Wednesday. I think I'm very convinced that Paul Pogba will not be fully fit for Wednesday, but he should be back for the game against Man City the weekend. Don't forget, Paul Pogba's also been out with an ankle injury. He's been out with injury now since September. So the last league game Paul Pogba did play was the 1-1 draw with Arsenal earlier on in the season. But you've got to be honest, I've got to be honest with you, he has been a big miss in that midfield as Pogba. We do know the difference he does make in that midfield. But yeah, so he's been out with an ankle injury. Recent reports emerged out not too long ago saying that, Paul Pogba was refusing to play for Man United and Solskjaer because allegedly he was faking his injury to force his transfer from Manchester United to Real Madrid. But either way, Paul Pogba's still orchestrating on leaving the football club next year anyway. So he's basically, got the same preference as what he had for the entirety of the summer, because Paul Pogba's preference was a move to Madrid during the summer, and he also wants to make a move to Real Madrid in January. I know there was also reports emerging out saying that, Juventus, were infinite. There was a lot of narratives in the media in the summer about him possibly making a return back to Turin, because he did enjoy 4 great years in Turin and that. And, Pogba's now is into his 4th season as a Man United player since he rejoined from Juventus back in 2016. And analysing the vast majority of his career, he has been very, very poor as Pogba. I think we mainly saw the best of him in that 3-month period when Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was the interim manager and that. But he's still 26 years of age. He's still in his prime. He has, still got a lot of years ahead of him. But when he's in scintillating form, he's arguably one of the best midfielders in the world, definitely. He's still got 2 years left on his current contract with Man United, with an option, to extend it by a further year. And he's on a substantial amount at the club. Pogba is on around 290 grand a week. So in that aspect, he is one of the highest paid players at the football club. But we know due to Paul Pogba's absentee, Fred has been fulfilling his position. And I have got some element of concerns about Fred. I know he's had some bad games this season, but I think, he's also had some pretty good games. I will agree on the aspect again, we did overpay for him. We paid, £50 million for him from Shakhtar Donetsk in the summer of 2018. And analysing him at Shakhtar Donetsk, he was an exceptional player, but hasn't really replicated this at Manchester United and that. But I would still, give Fred more time at the football club. Obviously, we still got Bay out injured. Fosu Mensah's out injured. So too is Diego Dalot, and I think so too Matic is. Rojo, I think, still out with a muscle injury. But I think the likes of Bay's obviously in training. He's been out of injury since pre-season. Fosu Mensah's been he's back in training, but he was also been out of an injury. Rojo, I don't think, is in training as yet. Delot's obviously back in training, so too is Matic. So the positive is, players are, coming back from injury, which is very, very good news. Don't forget, recently Luke Shaw has just come back from injury. Because he was initially out with a hamstring injury. But Luke Shaw and Antoine Zebe, both played the full 90 minutes in a 2-1 defeat against FC Astana, which was very, very good. So you saw my match reaction, didn't you guys, this morning, for the Man United Aston Villa game, which did end 2-2 yesterday. It was another very disappointing performance from Man United. Solskjaer would give his overarching view on the game. And, he said, we didn't deserve to win, so he probably feels as though that, we didn't do enough. Solskjaer, from his own perception, still believes he is improvements in that. He's give his overall analysis on the league table, and he says that's not a big concern at the moment. I don't know what really means there, because we're not in that commanding position that we should be in. Reflect on the amount of money that's being invested into the football club. Also, reflecting on the size and potential of this club, we should be at least challenging for that top four, basically. But this is what we did say in that, but it was a very, very disappointing result against Villa, and that that was a game we was expected to win, because Villa have enjoyed a difficult start to the season. But like I said on my reaction, credit to Aston Villa, they did really, really well, and they could have arguably won that game. They went 1-0 up after just 11 minutes, through Jack Grealish. I think Solskjaer has confirmed that we're attracting interest in Jack Grealish, but he took his goal really, really well. To be fair though, we did do well to come back into the game. We turned it around. Rashford, of course, well, it was a Tom Heaton own goal. I thought he did at the first, I think, given to Rashford, but it was a lovely inviting cross from Andrews Pereira, and Rashford headed it in, and that was 1-1. It came off Tom Heaton's back, and then Lindelof, of course, got us back in. Got us in front, that's obviously Victor Lindelof's first goal of the season for the club. And then obviously Tyrone Mings equalised 2 minutes later. But yeah, another poor performance. But the vast majority of the performances this season have been very, very poor. The performances have been poor. A lot of players haven't been performing to the standards as we should expect from them. Obviously in the vast majority of our games this season, we have been struggling to create chances, and that's also been an element of concern. And this is the explanation, why we haven't been scoring enough goals. But it just isn't good enough, basically. And that's now the second time, we have failed to be a newly promoted team. We also dropped points against Sheffield United the other week. I thought it was very, very poor in that game, except, the first 10 minutes. Except, that 10-minute period, I think it was in the second half, obviously, where we actually, did quite well. We was actually 2-0 down in the game against Sheffield United. I'm surprised, we didn't lose that. But we scored 3 times within 7 minutes. But, I was relieved that we didn't lose that game, but we actually should have won the game, because we was 3-2 up, and, we conceded in stoppage time. But yeah, for 80 minutes, I thought we was poor against Sheffield United. I thought we was poor against FC Astana. I only thought we did well in the first 10 minutes against FC Astana. Thought you could say we had a good, 10, 15-minute spell. Obviously, in the game against FC Astana, Solskjaer, obviously, went with the youth and that. And that's one of the aspects of me that do credit Solskjaer, he has got a lot of trustworthy in his young upcoming players. The young upcoming players have been given their chances this season, so that's obviously now very, very good. But he did, go with a youth against Astana because Solskjaer knew it was a meaningless game. We are already into the knockout stages of the Europa League. But like I did put into the equation, I think it's our only route to Champions League football for next season is progressing in the Europa League because we're not going to get that top four this season, definitely not. I don't think that's going to happen in that. But Solskjaer, did rest the vast majority of the senior players against Astana. There was only 4 senior players that played, and that was Luke Shaw, Tuan Zebe, Jesse Lingard, of course. Jesse Lingard was captain the team in that game. And, Lee Grant, Lee Grant had been given his full debut, our third choice goalkeeper. And Solskjaer in total handed 7 debuts out against Astana. So Deshaun Burnley got given his debut. So too did Ethan Laird, and so too did, Dylan Levitt, and he was impressed there with all their performances. So there was no excuse, we should have beaten Aston Villa because obviously, the vast majority of our senior players, we're all fully fit. But these just basically, these performances are just not acceptable. So if we're to salvage anything off Tottenham, our performance against Tottenham has got to be totally comparison to the one that we saw against Villa yesterday. Totally comparison to the one against Sheffield United. I can't think of a game, for the full 90 minutes, that we've dominated, especially under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's guidance. There was obviously games in that 3-month period when Solskjaer was the interim manager, where we did actually, dominate and that. There were still some games in that 3-month period as well where we didn't play well, but, we still managed to scrape results, and, we did that quite a lot of times under the Alex Ferguson era. But, Solskjaer, of course, has been manager of Manchester United now in total for nearly a year now. So he's been in now, you can say, around 11 and a half months, And, obviously, he's endured a difficult 9 months or so at Man United. Obviously, he's been permanent manager for around 9 months nearly. Obviously, it's totally comparison now what I've seen this 9 months to what I saw, when he was the interim manager in that 3-month period. So we did have a good 3 months under him. And my perceptions were different then regarding Solskjaer because, then I thought he was the right man to elevate Manchester United forward, But I don't think, he will be at the club for much longer. I can definitely assure he will not be here at the end of the season. I don't even think he will be here by January. So I just wanted to take that into account. Ed Woodward has also recently come out and he's determined, Ed Woodward is determined to stand by Solskjaer for now. But if this inconsistency does continue to persist, then, I think Man United, will end up, sacking him. But I actually did say, didn't I, prior to the Villa game, we need to win at least 2 of our next 3 games, if he's to remain in the job. I think we've got to beat Tottenham and Man City, if to obviously, prevent us from sacking Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And obviously, if we do, sack him and that, which is looking very, very likely now the way things are going, obviously we're going to have to pay a substantial amount to get rid of him. I think, we're probably going to have to pay, I don't know how, well, I can't even give you an estimation how much we're going to have to pay, but, it will be a substantial amount. Don't forget, he's on a 3-year contract with the club. He'd been given this 3-year contract when he had been given the job permanently in March earlier on this year. And he's on around £7.5 million a year, £7.5 million pounds a year. I don't think we'll have to pay as much anyway, as we did do to get rid of Jose Mourinho. But yeah, I don't think it's going to be long now before he is sacked from the football club, and but we do sack Solskjaer. Obviously, he's the fourth. He's going to be the 4th permanent manager to be sacked since the Alex Ferguson era. We've already sacked 3 managers since the Alex Ferguson era. We sacked David Moyes after only 10 months in charge. That was the one mistake and the only mistake Alex Ferguson made, was recommending David Moyes, but he's had the shortest tenure with the football club since, The Ferguson era. Moyes enjoyed a good time with Everton. He was on serving manager at Everton. I think he enjoyed around 10 years there with Everton, but obviously didn't replicate Man United what he did do with Everton because obviously he's an average manager. Then obviously after Moyes, Van Gaal came in, and some people believe that Solskjaer is emulating into like Louis Van Gaal because Louis Van Gaal's football was turgid, definitely in Man United. Louis Van Gaal did win the FA Cup though with us. He lasted like just a year and a half, but he still got sacked. Then Jose Mourinho, he enjoyed a 2.5 year tenure with the football club. And Mourinho, obviously, at Man United didn't replicate, what he did at the likes of, Chelsea and that, because he was really, really good at Chelsea, despite the fact he got sacked from them. He won 3 titles with Chelsea. He also won the FA Cup with Chelsea. He had 2 spells with Chelsea. He also won the Champions League twice, once with Porto and once with Inter Milan. But it just didn't work out under him. So you can say we haven't really got the structure to keep sacking managers. But, I haven't seen any improvements at all under Solskjaer, than what I saw under Mourinho, Louis Van Gaal and David Moyes. And I think it's been recently revealed as well that our win ratio is worse under Solskjaer, than what it was under David Moyes. But, obviously, with our bad results and our bad performances, for the vast majority of this season, you can't, not all the blame, just, stems from Solskjaer. He's definitely, accountable for some of it. But I think, you can also criticise the board because, like I've said on my recent videos, they've been a liability for several years of the board. Ed Woodward is accountable for some of it as well. He replicates the board. He's been a liability for quite some time as Ed Woodward. He recently did assure Galactico signings at Manchester United for next year, but I've said to you, haven't I, that our recruitment has definitely got to improve because our recruitment hasn't only been poor recently. It's been very poor for several years and that, and it's very imperative next year that we do get the right calibre players to Manchester United, definitely. But like I've said to you, when you're not in a Champions League football, it's going to be harder to attract players to the elite level anywhere. But Ed Wood was definitely accountable for some of it. And I think, there's still more players that do need to leave Manchester United, definitely. I think we need to get rid of another 5 or 6 more players next year. I know a lot of players have left since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's arrival. Obviously, like I said, Valencia left at the end of last season. The likes of Smalling went out on loan to Roma. Darmian left. Herrera left. You could say that's another mistake Man United made, was getting rid of Ander Herrera. But we've definitely got to recruit a replacement for Ander Herrera in that midfield. Fellaini, of course, went to China in January. Lukaku and Sanchez, of course, left there. Both went to Inter Milan. And you can say since they've left, we've looked very exposed in that attacking line following their departures. But yeah, definitely more problematic players at the football club. So more players do need to leave. I think we definitely need to get rid of Ashley Young. He's past his sell-by date at the football club. He's 35 next year. He's young. He is now 34. Young has been a long-serving player at Manchester United. He's now into his 9th season as a Manchester United player, but he's enjoyed 8 years here. Another mistake was obviously last season, us giving Ashley Young a new 1-year extension. We shouldn't have done that. I think definitely Jones is another one of the problematic players. He's been here more or less the same amount of time as Ashley Young. We give Jones a new long-term contract last season, but he's definitely one of the problematic players. I've also got strong reservations about Matic. I think we also need to get rid of him next year. I think it would be beneficial if we could, cash in for Matic in January. But, maybe we could lose him on a free transfer at the end of the season because his current contract comes to a conclusion at the end of the season. But we do have an option to extend it by a further year. Matic, like I said, has been out with injury. He's initially lost his place in the team, and that's totally comparison to last season because actually analysing it last season, Matic was my first choice our first choice in that midfield. But analysing the vast majority of his tenure with Man United, he has, been very, very poor. He's now into his third season at the football club. And I will agree on the aspect, that we definitely overpaid for him. We paid just under 40 million. Well, I think it was 35 million up front with 5 million in add-ons, which did potentially, rise it to around 40 million pounds. But yeah, definitely one of the problematic players in that. Too slow, makes that midfield look totally imbalanced. And he's now the age of 31. So he isn't getting any younger. Chong, some people believe, maybe Chong does need to be moved on. Obviously, Solskjaer recently insisted that Man United want him to stay at the football club, and that, even though reports did emerge out, was it around 2 or 3 weeks ago, saying that, he allegedly informed Man United he was going to be leaving at the end of the season, and obviously his current contract does expire next summer. But let's be honest, Chong's appearances have been limited at the football club, because I think he's only played on 4 occasions for Man United. And I don't think he's played the game to the extent as people thought, he would have done. And I think, he'll have the same perception. But I did say anyway, overall, we need to get, rid of some of the young upcoming players next year. That definitely would be very beneficial in that, and all that. But like I said, Solskjaer has been making plans for the January transfer window and that. I think we've been assured that obviously we're going to be given money to spend next year. I think we're going to be given around £200 million in over the course of the next 2 transfer windows. The question is though, is £200 million enough for us to address all the deficiencies in the squad? Is it enough for us, to get the right number of players that we do want in? We shall see. Obviously analysing the vast majority of this team, it isn't Solskjaer's. There's only 3 players that are his, that he did recommend into the football club during the summer. He spent nearly £150 million on Daniel James and Wan-Bissaka and on Harry Maguire. So, that just proves, you can get, quite a few players for 200 million quid, depending on, like I said, on how we are over our recruitment. But I think the 3 signings Solskjaer recommended in, are not accountable for our bad performances this season, because I think, they've all, done really, really well. And it was good during the summer, that we did address some of the problematic areas. But, it's very imperative next year, regardless of who our manager is, that we, address the deficiencies in the squad. So next year we need to bring 2 midfielders in. So I think, we need an attacking midfielder. We also need a defensive midfielder, definitely. We also need at least 1 striker, definitely. Probably we even need 2 attackers. You can say we do need a right winger. And there's possibly other areas in the squad that we do need to address, definitely. But we've got to be ruthless over the course of the next couple of windows and that. And recently Gary Neville did say that, Solskjaer's got to be ruthless in January if he's, to remain at the job, because he said he won't last, long if he isn't to do this. But I don't think he's going to be, here by January anywhere. But like I've said to you guys, managers are getting sacked left, right and centre now. So that just proves now in this generation how, ruthless the boards are. Recently, Sanchez Flores got sacked from Watford after just less than 3 months in charge. You got Mourinho getting the sack from Arsenal. You got Pochettino getting sacked last month. But I think definitely Solskjaer is the next to definitely be sacked. But the vast majority of our fans anywhere are demanding Solskjaer out at the football club. And obviously, a lot of Man United fans are demanding for us to recommend Maurizio Pochettino in. Now, I just want to give you some latest news regarding Maurizio Pochettino. Now, reportedly, Maurizio Pochettino's quoted out that he does want to return to management immediately. Because he is currently managerless at the moment. He did get sacked from Tottenham last month, don't forget. We've initially been long admirers of Pochettino, but obviously now we've reignited our interest. Now, obviously, he's not currently in the job at the moment, but we initially went in for Pochettino before we recommended Solskjaer in. He was our primary candidate, but obviously we didn't get him in that. And even though Pochettino now isn't at Tottenham, maybe, clubs that are interested in recommending him in may have to still have negotiations with Daniel Levy, who's obviously the chairman of Tottenham. And obviously, as like I've said to you on, numerous occasions, that, Daniel Levy is a hard negotiator. But I think, I don't think now we'd have to pay out to recommend Mauricio Pochettino. Because obviously at the time he was at Tottenham, he said, for us to get him in, would have had to pay around £32 million pounds in compensation. I was reading recent reports. It did say, if he is to get a job in the Premier League, he'll have to pay Tottenham around 12.5 million. Reportedly, the clause of Mauricio Pochettino's, could prevent him actually, from replacing Ole Gunnar Solskjaer at Man United. But I did give you the couple of reasons why Solskjaer was our preference over Mauricio Pochettino, is because obviously, Solskjaer knows the traditions of the club, plus Solskjaer was a cheaper solution. We didn't really, have to pay that much to recommend him. But comparing, Mauricio Pochettino and, Solskjaer, Mauricio Pochettino's totally comparison to him. He's a better manager. His philosophy is good. His philosophy was very good at Tottenham. He's also good at developing young players, and like I said, he's more experienced. The only element of concern I've got about Pochettino is that he hasn't won out in terms of silverware as a manager, but he's been managing for just over 10 years. He's managed 3 clubs at the moment. He endured 5 years with Tottenham. He also enjoyed a good short tenure with Southampton, and he obviously, he managed Espanyol. But he did really, definitely, really, really well with Tottenham, But I think, he'd grasped the opportunity, to come to Man United. Also, Arsenal are in for him. There has been talks about him going to Arsenal. I think recently, Mauricio Pochettino's friends advised him to turn down, the move to Arsenal and that. This is what, I've actually got reservations about him going to Arsenal, so I don't, really see that happening. There's also been talks about him possibly going to Bayern Munich, perhaps, maybe even Real Madrid, because Real Madrid, were in for him at one point, Mauricio Pochettino. But yeah, so obviously, like I said, with Arsenal themselves, they've got quite a few managers on their agenda. They're looking for a replacement for Mourinho. I know obviously they've got Freddie Ljungberg in at the moment, obviously on a temporary basis, but obviously, they do need a permanent manager in that. Arsenal did sack Mourinho after just 18 months in charge. That got confirmed last Friday in that. But Arsenal are obviously in a similar sort of situation to Man United, take that into account. But there hasn't only been Pochettino on Man United's agenda. There's still actually talks going on regarding Massimiliano Allegri. At one point, he was actually our primary candidate to replace Solskjaer. Don't forget Massimiliano Allegri is also on Arsenal's agenda. My preference would be Pochettino over Massimiliano Allegri. I know Massimiliano Allegri, did, quite well with Juventus. He enjoyed a 5-year spell with Juventus. I think, won quite a lot of silver, including 5 Serie A titles. Progressed Juventus to 2 Champions League finals. But he's actually so far anyway spent the entirety of his managerial career in Italy. In the Serie A, obviously, in the Serie A. Emulated himself up over the years, because he did actually, start managing small, various Italian clubs. And he also, during his playing career, spent the entirety of his playing career in the Serie A. But he said quite a while back he was learning English in preparation for his potential move. He was learning English in preparation for his potential move. He did step down as Juventus manager at the end of last season. He resigned, so he's currently managerless at the moment. He said the other week that he'd obviously turned down the Arsenal job, but they're still linked to him possibly coming to Manchester United. But I do believe Mauricio Pochettino is more probable than Massimiliano Allegri coming. I think Allegri could go to Arsenal, and Pochettino could come to Man United and that. There's obviously been other managers mentioned. Don't forget, recently Arsenal identified Nuno Santo as their primary candidate to replace, Mourinho. Nuno Santo is a good manager. He shows good endeavour. his good endeavour, and he's been a revelation for Wolves, definitely. As you know, Nuno Santo, he's been there quite a few years now. You know, a couple of years ago, got them to the Championship title. Also, you know, guided them to 7th place last season, so that means Wolves obviously got automatic qualification for the Europa League. But he's done well. And before he was at Wolves, he was at Porto, Valencia, and Rio. So he's managed 3 clubs. This is obviously Wolves is the 4th club, you know, that he's currently managing now. So obviously there's been talks about him going to Arsenal. I don't see that happening. Arteta's also been on Arsenal's agenda. He's a former Arsenal player, plus he's now currently the coaching assistant at Man City. Carlo Ancelotti's been on Arsenal's agenda, so Arsenal have got quite a few managers on their agenda, definitely. And all that. Like I said to you on my video I did a couple of days ago, I'd take Brendan Rodgers at Manchester United. I don't see Brendan Rodgers leaving, you know, leaving Leicester, sorry. You know, I'm very sceptical about that. Also, Brendan Rodgers on Arsenal's agenda. Obviously, Arsenal or Man United, if we were to go in for him, would have to pay something. You know, it said recently, you know, Leicester would demand around 14 million quid. You know, if they were to maybe, you know, soften their stance on him. But like I said, Brendan Rodgers has been a revelation for Leicester. He's now this is his first full season with Leicester, but he initially joined, I think, was it back in February this year, early on this year, yeah, that was. But he's guided Leicester City to second in the Premier League, and I think his philosophy is right for Leicester City Football Club. I think they're definitely going to finish in the top 4 this season, so I think they're definitely going to get qualification for the Champions League, definitely. But, you know, Leicester have got a pretty decent team. You know, the recruitment was pretty decent during the summer. But taking into account, Leicester have lost quite a few of their imperative players in recent years. They lost the likes of Maguire to us in the summer. You know, they lost Raheem Mahrez to Man City in the summer of 2018. They lost the likes of Danny Drinkwater and N'Golo Kante to Chelsea in that. You know, so Leicester, you know, have done really, really well. You know, Vardy is in scintillating form. Vardy's a very, very good player, by the way. He's emulated himself up over the years because he's basically progressed from non-league football to the Premier League. So, you know, he's done really, really well. You know, Leicester have got the likes of James Maddison. I think he's a fantastic player. I think he would be the right calibre player for Man United if he was to come in the future or next year, whenever. You know, Ben Chilwell's a very, very good fullback. But, you know, they have, you know, got a very, very good team. But Brendan Rodgers is a good manager overall anywhere. And I think he's replicating at Leicester, you know, what he did do with Celtic. Because he did enjoy quite a few good years with Celtic. Also, he did have one good season with Liverpool. He was at Liverpool quite a few seasons. He also did quite well at Swansea. And when he was back, when he was a lot younger, obviously managed the likes of Reading and Watford, I think it was, and he actually began his managerial career with the Chelsea youth. So there's been talks in the media going on about Brendan Rodgers. But like I said, you know, Man United need a new board. We need a new manager, so we need a change of management, and obviously, you know, we need more players. I think we need at least 5 to 6 more signings if we are to be back to being a competitive elite level football club, and if we are, you know, to be a future title contenders in that, you know, because we haven't now won the league for nearly 7 years. The last time we won it was back in 2013 in Alex Ferguson's last season, but since then a lot of money's been invested into the football club. I think around, between 650 to 700 million that's been spent in all the managerial eras since the Ferguson era, and obviously now we're recruiting new players. Not only that, you know, we've got players on big contracts at the football club and that, so that's another thing I wanted to take into account, definitely. That's another thing I wanted to take into account, guys, and that. But yeah, so definitely, you know, we need a change in management. But I think, you know, Ed Woodward, there's people that are sceptical about Ed Woodward getting rid of Solskjaer anywhere. So to his colleagues, the board and that. Because obviously he's a club legend. I think disregarding being a club legend, you know, you could probably say, you know, he would have been sacked by now, probably. And he hasn't got a pedigree behind him, and that's another element of concern I've got about regarding Solskjaer. You know, he's only managed 2 teams. This is obviously the third club he's managing, which is Man United. But before he was at Man United, he managed Mould. he managed to win 2 Norwegian titles with Mould. Before he was at Mould, he endured the short tenure with Cardiff. He got Cardiff relegated, so he only lasted around 29 or 30 games for them, and his record was absolutely atrocious at Cardiff, definitely in that. But one thing I admire him for as well, he was a great player for Man United and that. He had that proven pedigree as a player. Fantastic player, he was a super sub. But just hasn't got any intuition on how, to manage and that. And I hate to say it because I do like Solskjaer as a person and that, but and he's got a lot of honesty about him. But I just don't think he's good enough, to be a manager. And, that's just my overarching view on it. And, he's still getting some form Man United players and certain pundits that are still saying, we should give him time. And some are obviously, still backing him to succeed at Man United. But, it's definitely nowhere not going to happen. But yeah, I do believe Solskjaer will be the next manager to be sacked from the football club. And like I've said to you, there's a lot of players in our agenda who we could go in for next year. I've recently, give you the latest news, haven't I, regarding the transfer news. I think our two main priority targets are Erling Haaland and Jadon Sancho. They're our two main priority targets. I think they could cost us in the excess of at least around £160 million, if we had to go in for both players. But I do believe they both would be the right calibre players for Man United. I think recently it's suggested out that up to 11 clubs have instructed that their scouts to watch Erling Haaland in action, because Erling Haaland has been a revelation this season for Red Bull Salzburg. He scored 27 goals in 19 games in all competitions. 8 of his goals have come in the Champions League. And I think also the beneficial thing about recommending him in is that he's played under Solskjaer's guidance. Solskjaer knows about him. Solskjaer wants a reunion with the player, but we could drop our interest in Erling Haaland if we do decide to sack Solskjaer, because there won't obviously not be any reunion then. But either way, he's going to cost us in the excess of around £68 million. Is the player, maybe even more than that, but he is only at the age of 19. He's Erling Haaland. He's only at the age of 19. But yeah, I think I'd like him in our attacking line because he's a prolific goal scorer. And if he comes to Man United, I think he can replicate, what he's done, with Red Bull Salzburg this season. He's actually our preference now over Mario Mandzukic, because we've dropped our interest now in Mario Mandzukic, even though it looks destined he was going to join the football club in January. And I thought Mandzukic, would have been our first signing in January. But obviously now there's been a change of scenery on that. Jadon Sancho, we've been long admirers of Jadon Sancho anyway. We was in for him during the summer. We identified him as our main priority target back in January and that. But if Jadon Sancho's admitted he wants to leave Borussia Dortmund, I initially said at the first that it's probably more imminent he'll leave next summer rather than January, but we could actually get Jadon Sancho in January, but that would be very, very good. There's not only Man United that are in for him, there's quite a few other clubs in for him, Liverpool, Real Madrid, I think PSG, and PSG as well, that were, recently interested in him. But we are aware that Jadon Sancho is going to cost us in the excess of around £100 million, maybe even more than that. But he is primarily a right winger. He can also play him central, but primarily a right winger. Only at the age of 19 is Jadon Sancho. He's still under contract with Dortmund until 2022, but Sancho is not satisfied at Dortmund at the moment. He's been dropped in games this season for Dortmund, basically. But yeah, I'd love him at Manchester United, Jadon Sancho and that. So there are reportedly our two main priority targets in that. But I think Solskjaer definitely won't be here by January. I can definitely know I'm sure of that for certain. But, like I said regarding Solskjaer, he's tried different elements this season. But obviously it hasn't really worked out and that. We've had good periods, this season. I thought we did really, really well, before the international break. We did well. we did really, really well before the international break. We won through 5 of our last 6 games in all competitions. But we're back to square one again. We haven't won since 3-1 against Brighton before the international break. So winless now in our last 3 games, and it isn't good enough. And I think anyway, even with us, recommending a new manager in, it's going to take a massive rebuild and that. It's, I don't think we're going to win the league for quite a lot of years. I'm also going to confirm that with you. But, change of management is needed now. Solskjaer's also tactically naive. He's been tactically naive for the vast majority of this season. He's gone with a 4-2-3-1 formation, mainly this season, as you all know, and that. But, yeah. And, we've got a lot of young players in the squad, like I said. I do believe some of them will become a success. Obviously some of them, won't become a success. This is why I did say, we need to consider, getting rid of some. I can assure Greenwood will do well, because he's played well in the games he's played in this season. Brandon Williams will do well. You can say now, definitely, that left back has been confirmed for us. He's a better solution than Luke Shaw. He's a much better solution than Young. But we've got a variety of fullbacks anywhere that can compete, like Solskjaer recently said. But Brandon Williams has scored his first senior goal against Sheffield United, which is obviously, very, very good. Tuan Zebe, he's done well in the games he's played in this season. He's a backup option at that centre. He's a backup centre half, because obviously our first choice centre backs are Harry Maguire and Victor Lindelof. Angel Gomez, I've got concerns about him. I know he's another one of our midfield options. I've got concerns about Chong. But yeah, I think a lot of the young upcoming players will become a success. Marcus Rashford, he's done well recently. He's rejuvenated himself in the last 7 or 8 games, but I thought it was very poor against Aston Villa. But that, he's only one bad game. But yeah, so everyone needs to take the blame with our inconsistency. But do you still get the odd Man United fan that's backing Solskjaer? Because like I said, not all the blame does stem from him basically. But yeah. So anyway, this is your Manchester United Tottenham preview. Hopefully, we can get something out of this game. But I'm very, very sceptical about it. The good news is that McTominay should be back for Wednesday. I think he will be. But I think, Paul Pogba's still out. But Paul Pogba, I think, should be back for the Manchester derby, which is very, very good news. And Solskjaer did recently say when he does come back anywhere, it will be a world-class signing for us. So, we'll see what happens. So, anyway, guys, when Solskjaer has done his press conference tomorrow, I will be giving him a reaction to his press conference, definitely. And, join me on that. And there will be quite a few videos coming up tomorrow, as always. So, anyway, guys, drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do, consider subscribe, as always, and take care. God bless, and I'll see you all again very, very soon. Thanks for watching.